Authorities in Ukraine have arrested a local man accused of helping direct a Russian missile strike, which killed at least 11 people at a popular restaurant. Investigators say the man filmed the East Ukraine location for the Russians, but a Kremlin spokesperson today says it does not aim at civilian targets, a claim Moscow has repeated several times since that war began. And we're learning more about this weekend's short-lived and ultimately failed rebellion inside Russia. Citing Western intelligence officials, the Wall Street Journal reports the now exiled leader of the Wagner Group wanted to kidnap two of Russia's top military leaders. According to the paper, he accelerated his march toward Moscow after the Kremlin learned of the plot to target Russia's defense minister and the Army's highest-ranking general. So joining us now to break this down, retired Army Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis, now a senior fellow with the Defense Priorities. Colonel Davis, thank you so much for your time. So there's this new twist, right, that Prigozhin may have planned to capture these Russian military officials, all part of his coup. How does that change the big picture look at what's happening now, both inside and outside of Russia's borders?
Well, it's a little odd of a story, I got to say, and who knows how much it's true or not. There's so many things that are floating around. But we know that on Saturday, Prigozhin himself on his Telegram channel had claimed that Shoigu had been in Rostov, which is where the command center is for the Ukraine operations, and he fled. So it doesn't explain how, if Shoigu was in Rostov, you would have then turned on, go on to Moscow if your intention was to capture, because that's not where he was. So it's uncertain how all of these things fit together, but it is entirely plausible that that was Prigozhin's intent, because he had been, obviously so vitriolically against those two from the beginning. So I think that that's probably likely that he would have, or perhaps something even worse, but it's no doubt that was part of his plan. The internal, as far as how this results in anything, Prigozhin completely failed in his objective. He lost control of his Wagner Group, or at least nominal control of it, and now he's in Minsk doing who knows what, and the issue has been diminished. Putin, at the same time, has also been diminished. So this is just a big negative for Russia any way you want to look at it.
All right. Well, Colonel, that's perfect, because that takes me right into my next question here. Because, Prigozhin is now in Belarus. He will not face punishment as long as he remains there. And that certainly goes against how Putin operates, right? I mean, we know he likes to retaliate. So how does this impact Putin's position of power as well as Prigozhin's?
Well, first, let's look at Prigozhin's side of that. He's got a very fine balancing act to hold, because Putin has a long history of making people disappear after they leave Russia. So I don't think there's anywhere on the planet that Prigozhin can go and feel safe about sleeping, but he'll stay alive as long as he is of utility to Russia. And at least what he's claiming right now, what Lukashenko, the president of Belarus, is claiming, is that Prigozhin is there now to train the Belarusian army with a lot of their experience that they've gained during this war to perhaps expand their capacity over there. As long as Prigozhin is useful, I think that he can still stay alive. But if he goes on the wrong side of Putin, I doubt that he stays alive too much longer, just based on history. Putin, on the other hand, he's already coming under a lot of heat, because he didn't take care of this when it was festering, and it started blowing up really in February of this year, had a major blow up in June and May, and he did nothing about either one of them. He didn't do anything to his defense minister and commander of the army. He didn't make any changes, and he did nothing to Prigozhin, and so the thing festered. Now that it was only solved because Lukashenko got involved without major bloodshed on Russian soil, and a lot of people in Russia that are otherwise supportive of the Russian state are questioning his leadership. And it remains to be seen how serious this is, and it's too early to tell. It could be very bad, or depending on what happens in the war coming up soon, it could be forgotten.
And last question for you, Colonel. I mean, we know that this uprising was averted, so to speak, over the weekend. But how likely is it that we will still see some sort of coup within Russia?
Yeah, at least right now, the chances are substantially diminished. In fact, they're almost off the table, because now then Putin is alarmed and he's awake to this threat, whereas before it clearly took him by surprise. They have now said that they're going to arm the National Guard with tanks and other heavy weapons, which they didn't have up to this point. And so now everybody's paying a lot of attention. There's already reports that there's been a lot of purges going on within the Ministry of Defense and several other places. Anybody who had any hint of going on that the coup has been eliminated and removed. So I think the chances are much lower now than they have been.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.